Washington doesn't get its fuel from that Colonial Pipeline, but we do have our own pipeline. The Olympic Pipeline runs from the Cherry Point Refinery in Blaine by the Canadian border all the way down to Portland. It's a critical piece of infrastructure that our region relies on for fuel. Tonight, we have team coverage with crews standing by on the East Coast where they're seeing massive fuel shortages from the Colonial hack. But let's begin with KOMO's Suzanne Fawn with what's being done about vulnerabilities here in Washington.
Well, the massive cyber attack that shut down the Colonial Pipeline is a major wake-up call. Experts say it could happen here, and it can happen on the Olympic Pipeline.
Yes, it absolutely could happen here.
Cybersecurity expert Trey Blaylock says it's very possible that a cyber attack could happen on the Olympic Pipeline.
It'd be a good target simply financially because they've got a lot of money. And so a ransomware, company would definitely want it from that standpoint.
The attack on the Colonial Pipeline caused a shortage in gasoline supply, which drove up prices. That could also happen here if the Olympic Pipeline was a target of a cyber attack.
And it could have a variety of disastrous effects. They could break the pipeline itself in addition to just dealing with the servers. But if that happened, it would literally shut down some of the gas stations. It could shut down a lot of the heating oil. And then we'd also end up having impact to airlines.
Blaylock says our infrastructure is particularly vulnerable.
All of these older companies that are running gas pipelines, they have a lot of critical infrastructure that frequently isn't as up to date in the sense of cybersecurity as we would like. And so they tend to be a little bit more vulnerable than some of the more up-to-date startups and smaller companies.
What happened with the Colonial Pipeline could be just the beginning.
This is really just the infancy of cybersecurity. The ransomware events are increasing at like around 400% a year right now, and it's affecting everyone. It's shutting down banks. It's shutting down small mom and pop stores. It's really just impacting people like crazy.
KOMO News reached out to the WUTC, the state agency that regulates the pipeline. A spokesman says they do regular safety inspections. They take any and all threats seriously.
For law enforcement to do something about it.
Dangerous street racers are gathering like never before, spinning their tires and causing chaos for others on the road. Agencies from around the Puget Sound now coming together to investigate and prosecute those responsible.
In this Operation Crime and Justice report, KOMO's Cole Miller takes a closer look at the problem and why it can be so hard to stop.
A full-throttle, tire-shredding sideshow with hundreds of spectators crowding around, getting within inches of those spinning cars. Popularity of this revving up amid the pandemic.
Just how bad is this problem right now?
It's bad. It's hard to quantify, but it's a regular occurrence on a lot of our city streets.
And at times, it's much more than what our cameras have captured.
It's fireworks, it's lasers, it's gunshots, it's crashes. People are getting stuck in the middle of it. There's a huge outcry for law enforcement to do something about it.
Trooper Chase Van Cleve with the Washington State Patrol has been tracking the fast-growing movement for some time now. He says through social media, namely Instagram, and with texting, the groups are able to coordinate their almost weekly get-togethers, spanning from South Pierce County up through Seattle and King County, all the way to the northern edge of Snohomish County.
This is clearly illegal activity. People have been seriously injured and killed with this activity.
In Fife, Police Chief Pete Fisher and the city have already taken action defining what they call no-race zones in some of the industrial areas where spectators can also face consequences.
It's bad. Some nights we can have 200 or 300 people. It's not acceptable to be reactive. We have to be proactive.
In Tacoma so far this year, there have been 27 arrests for reckless driving, 19 vehicles that have been impounded, and nearly 100 infractions in all at just a handful of events. Just earlier this year, drivers shut down Pacific Avenue downtown. The first responding officer, overwhelmed by that crowd, eventually drove through them, later saying he feared for his safety. This WSP dash camera video showing just how hostile those in the groups can be, oftentimes far outnumbering police. And for those drivers getting behind the wheel, where we've personally seen things take a scary turn, The thrill and adrenaline rush, the excuse for their actions.
Why do people get together and do this?
It's not only Washington State. Like, it happens everywhere. It's kind of hard to stop all of this. You saw all the cops that came to the Space Needle. It took forever to break up.
And this message from Trooper Van Cleve.
If you're an organizer, a participant, or an attendee, we're going to hold you accountable to being there, to blocking these roadways and putting people at risk.
In Seattle, Cole Miller, KOMO News.
Tonight, mass vaccinations begin for younger teens tomorrow. In the last few hours, the Western States Work Group and the State Health Department gave the final green light to expand the emergency use of the Pfizer vaccine. In fact, hundreds of kids already got their first shots today. Here's KOMO's Cole Miller.
Getting his first dose of Pfizer Wednesday, that's 14-year-old Noah Hanselak. Admittedly nervous at first, those jitters didn't last long.
I feel good, like I'll be able to see my friends, I'll be able to travel, like do a bunch of stuff this summer that I wasn't able to do last year.
With kids ages 12 to 15 now able to get that vaccine, that means 378,000 more Washingtonians are newly eligible.
It feels like we're continuing to build a wall of global immunity, one person at a time.
At Lumen Field alone, more than 200 started the process. And UW Medicine tells KOMO News it's already scheduled more than 6,000 appointments at its clinics. In addition to those mass vaccination sites across King County, where you do not need an appointment, health officials are also working to stand up pop-up sites at school campuses.
Kids will be able to access vaccine at their school quite frequently as well.
And as the state looks to boost its vaccination numbers across the board, there's a chance those younger voices could help sway their elders.
Sometimes kids are very instrumental in influencing parents and adults to do the right thing and to get vaccinated in this case.
Hi, everyone. I'm Preston Phillips from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and Western Washington. Oh, and don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss our YouTube updates.